Hi, I'm at the annual meeting and luncheon for the Roanoke Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau, and with me is their keynote speaker and novelist, David Baldacci. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
David, you have written over, I believe, 23 novels, one of which is an amazing novel called Wish You Well. And Wish You Well is going to be filmed in our region soon. Could you start off by telling us about this book? What is the story about?
It's really a coming-of-age novel about a young girl, Louisa May Cardinal. This is sort of my To Kill a Mockingbird story, if I were going to write a book like that. It's set in 1940 in Southwest Virginia, where my mother and grandmother grew up. The kids, Louisa May and her younger brother Oz, have to go from New York to this mountaintop in Southwest Virginia because of a tragedy in their life with their parents. And they might as well have gone from Earth to Pluto, because it's such a different world. And this is, for me, it's the resiliency of the human spirit. Can people adapt to new situations? But Lou really is trying to find herself, her place in life. She adored her father. He died in the story. And she has to find her way. And a lot of it, her touchstone really throughout a lot of the book is her great-grandmother, Louisa May Cardinal, her namesake. And it's a very touching story. It's dramatic. It has a lot of funny moments. It has a courtroom scene that's pretty dynamic as well. It was a nice shift for me, for a guy who sort of spends his time killing people in unusual ways.
I was going to say, well, it's just polar opposites.
It is.
But it's wonderful.
This is the lighter side of David Baldacci, not the darker side of David Baldacci.
I like the lighter side of David Baldacci. I like the other side too, but I don't know. I really just so much enjoyed this novel. Are the characters based on anyone? Were you inspired by anyone?
Yeah, the story is fictional, but certainly the place setting and some of the idiosyncrasies and qualities of the characters are based on people I know. Very strong female roles in this. I grew up with strong, independent women in my life. My mother, my sister, my grandmother, and I'm married to a very strong, independent woman,
You know
too.
the bumper sticker, right? Passive women rarely make history?
Yeah, my wife has that at her lake house on the wall.
Oh, well,
That
we'll
very
see.
much, along with about 30 others with the same sentiment. So, in fact, I have a sign in my office in Reston that says, "I'm the boss until my wife comes to the office."
That's something that struck me in the novel. It's so unusual to find a novel that has strong women characters, especially in that time period of the 1940s.
Yeah, and that's all I really know. I don't know any damsels in distress. I don't write about them. I know a lot of guys who need help from time to time, but not many women who need help.
Do you have a favorite character in the novel?
If I had to pick one, it's a close call between Diamond Skinner, who's sort of the child who is always best being a child and never someone you really want to see grow up because it would change what's so special about him. And then Louisa May Cardinal, the great-grandmother. She meant a lot to me in writing this. I drew upon a lot of my own family connections, and I saw a lot of my mother and my grandmother in
And you
that
did a lot of
character.
research. I know you did a lot. I believe you were looking at photographs of your family as you were
I had them
writing.
all over my office.
I read that,
Yeah, all
which is
over my
very
office.
cool. I'm inspired to find out more about my own family now, by the way.
Well, you know, in the back of the trade paperback edition of Wish You Well, there's a whole section on genealogy and how you can go back and trace your family roots. And a lot of people, because they read this novel, went back and did that.
That's on my list.
Good.
Virginia, the setting of Virginia is very important in this story. Could you tell us about that?
Well, I'm a native Virginian. I've lived here all my life. I've been to lots of other places, but always come back here. Richmond's my hometown. I have a home down here at Smith Mountain Lake as well. It's one of the most beautiful places on earth.
I agree.
And the people here are friendly and just so congenial, and they have a can-do spirit. But there's always sort of been something mystical about Virginia for me. As a young child, I traveled to the mountains with my mother to see her old homestead. And
May I ask where that is located?
It's in Dickinson County, Virginia.
Okay.
It's on a place called Ramsey Ridge. In fact, she grew up the next farm over were the Stanley brothers, Ralph Stanley and his brother.
My father grew up in Russell County in Lebanon, Virginia, and he was the youngest of 7.
Yeah.
There were a lot of similarities between how he grew up and your story.
Very much so. In fact, I get a lot of emails and letters from people who grew up in the toe of the boot of Virginia, and also in the Tennessee border, the Kentucky, and the West Virginia, because those are small towns, isolated, rural. A lot of them are coal mining towns. They have a lot of the same histories and stories to tell.
Right. So what do you think is so special about Virginia, not only for this film, but I just consider film making something that really needs to come to the state of Virginia.
Well, there's just a lot of tremendous locations. If you look at the state across the length and breadth of it, we have everything. We have, if you want oceans, we have oceans.
True.
If you want mountains, we have mountains. If you want marsh or flatter lands, we have that. We have a very bustling, high-tech community in Northern Virginia. We have a very historic
So we have it
capital.
all.
We really do have it all. And as a filmmaker, you can come here. As we're doing location scouting for Wish You Well, it's amazing the number number of places we've been and the multiple things we can do. It's at one location, which for an independent film is very important. It really has it all. A lot of times films, they have to go from one state to another, across great distances, and when you do that, it's a lot of money to take up a crew, break camp, and go somewhere else, and then have it to come back, and really you don't have to do that here.
Well, the country started here, so the filmmaking should end up here.
I like to think that, regardless of what people say in Massachusetts, we were the first.
Could you tell us about who will be producing Wish You Well?
Sarah Elizabeth Timmons, who was the producer behind Lake Effects, Life Out Loud Films. I'm one of the producers. I have a longtime producing partner in LA, Karen Spiegel. She's also, there were 3 producers in the project, but I've been working closely with Sarah Elizabeth and really think she's remarkable.
And I need to throw out your first novel, Absolute Power, was turned into a film with Clint Eastwood and Gene Hackman, and I mean, just amazing. Again, when you compare Absolute Power to Wish You Well, this will be a whole different experience, I'm sure, on a lot of different levels.
2 very different books.
Absolutely. I guess my last question is, well, first I'd like to say I very much enjoyed the novel to the point that I missed the characters afterwards. I missed Oz, and I missed Lou, and I missed Louisa and Diamond. I got really upset with certain parts of the book, and I won't give anything away.
I've gotten thousands of emails about what you're talking about from people.
But are you excited about seeing these characters come to life?
Tremendously
in
so.
The film?
When people ask me about books to film, as an author, I can only give you certain dimensions of characters and story. I write in words on a piece of paper. I don't have any visual stimulus. I don't have anything you can listen to. It's a whole other experience to see something on the written page translated to film. It brings a whole new experience to it. And then you have the actors bringing their tremendous talent and qualities, the filmmakers, the cinematographer, the director. So you have a whole host of people other than myself.
It's storytelling in a different media.
To make it into a great film. If you really like the book a lot, I think people would love the film.
Well, I know I'm ready for it, and I'm very excited that it's being brought to Virginia, filmed in Virginia, and we're very excited about you being here.
Great, thank you. I am too.
Thank you.